At the end of last week, seemingly out of nowhere, if you didn't know all of the background, Vince McMahon, yes, the CEO and the man who, well, realistically popularized to a mainstream audience professional wrestling, or as he likes to call it, sports entertainment. That shit is never going to catch on fucking as long as it dies with Vince McMahon's career. That'll be alright. I'll take the trade-off when it comes to that. But no, he just put out a tweet, and got it right here in this article. At 77, time for me to retire. Thank you, WWE Universe. Then, now, forever, together. Hashtag a bunch of crap. Okay. So yeah, that made the rounds last Friday. And honestly, if that was all of the news that was going to come out of that, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. He's 77. Seems to be in pretty good health. Okay, unless there's something out there that not a lot of people know, which with the amount of dirt sheet writers and all of the leaks that are out there, we would have heard something when it comes to this. So why now all of a sudden? Okay, because yeah, no, CBS News has it here. It's all amid these investigations into alleged sexual misconduct. We went over all that stuff last time that we talked about this in any specific detail. But unfortunately, there are more details when it comes to this. So we'll lay the groundwork, okay, for those of you who are not in the know. What positions did Vince McMahon hold? Well, he was the CEO. Everybody knows that. Okay, he was also the head of creative, so the guy writing all the storylines and doing a very shit job of that for a very long time. And we also have more about why they were so bad. Okay, and that's why I wanted to do this kind of wrap-up. Okay, so again, what do I think long-term when it comes to this stuff? The board will do its investigations depending on the outcome of that. Who really knows if it's going to go any further? If the FBI or SEC gets involved, which apparently they might be, who really knows? He's already stepped away for a minute. It's kind of like that situation, okay, back in the early 90s where the steroid trial was going on, and what was it, Jerry Jarrett and J.J. Dillon stepped in for a hot second, okay, to run the company. That's what I'm thinking it's going to be here. Until Vince McMahon is dead and in the ground, he's going to have some influence over the company that he popularized, right? Because he bought it from his old man for whatever it was, okay, made some promises, wait until the old man died, and then went fucking global on everybody's asses, bought up all the fucking territories, and now WWE is, well, just WWE. It no longer stands for World Wrestling Entertainment. Yuck. And it's become too big to fail, okay? Is it too big to sell out to NBC? Time will tell, especially with the people who have taken over. I could see that definitely happening, okay? But in the short term, yeah, Vince is going to be away from it. Will he be back by WrestleMania 40? Well, if he's alive, of course he's going to be, okay? And that's not this upcoming one. That's the one after that. So he'll be back within a couple of years. You can fucking well bank on that. Anyways, Vince McMahon officially announced his retirement on Friday afternoon. Yeah, right ahead of SmackDown, which is, you know what, hey, once again, smart marketing on his behalf because the ratings of that came out and yeah, they got a little boost off of that, okay? So, yeah. And if you took a look at the internal memo that was circulated out there, he's like, oh, it's time for me to go, not naming anything particular, okay? And make sure the show's going to be going live at 8 o'clock, so everybody get to your fucking positions, okay? The consummate worker, okay? I appreciate Vince McMahon. I don't really like his storyline writing or anything like that, but the fact, knowing that guy's story, I have a lot of reverence for him, okay? Now, what he did in order that kind of precipitated him stepping back from the company, I've got some issues with. What he did specifically, we don't really know. But what I talked about in the first video might be looking like it's coming to fruition on this one. And yeah, you shouldn't have been doing that. But groundwork first. The news comes after multiple reports from Wall Street Journal. Yeah, no, exactly. You'd think they should be talking about, oh, I don't know, things that have a great effect on Wall Street, like inflation and the crashing dollar, or the fact that the euro is probably going to land somewhere at around 80 cents trading across the US dollar. If you thought America was fucked, take a look at the European Union. Looks like globalist policies are really fucking great, which is kind of what you're seeing in professional wrestling right now. It's all just all of this fucking intersectional woke fucking nonsense, and I checked out of most of it for a long time now, except for just your odd AEW show, paying attention to it for me. High level, I've really been out of it for a couple of years, but you guys already know that. Anyways, after the initial report, McMahon temporarily stepped down from his CEO and chairman positions while his daughter, Stephanie, who had a couple months prior to that stepped away from the company in entirely. Okay, so that was weird that she would immediately, take that leave of absence only for the old man to take his leave of absence, and then she returns. Interesting. What the fuck is actually going on here? Okay. WWE board began investigating into the claims at the time. As I approach 77 years old, I feel it's time for me to retire as chairman and CEO of the WWE. Throughout the years, it's been a privilege to help WWE bring you joy, inspire you, thrill you, surprise you, and always entertain you, McMahon said in a statement. I think this was the internal communication. I think that's what went around. Okay, that's what I read. I would like to thank my family for mightily contributing to our success. Yeah, no, exactly. His wife, COO, and haven't heard a goddamn word about any of this shit coming from her. So again, what I prophesized in the first video that we did this, okay, they have an understanding, okay? All right, so relationship goals, if there ever were one. The only one who's kind of on the outside looking in is Shane, but time will tell what his role is ultimately going to end up being when all of this stuff shakes out. He was the one that was actually liked by the talent. Stephanie just kind of reigns with an iron fist, allegedly, which, again, you know what, hey man, you wonder why she was handpicked by the old man. Anyways, and I would also like to thank all of our past and present superstars and employees for their dedication and passion to our brand, or for our brand, sorry. Most importantly, I would like to thank our fans for allowing us into your homes every week and being the choice of entertainment. Yeah, no, big fan for, well, let's just try to categorize that, like a 6 to 8 year long period, something like that, okay? But then after that, it was hit and miss. It hasn't been a good product for a long time. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. I hold the deepest appreciation and admiration for our generations of fans all over the world who have liked, currently liked, and sometimes even love our form of sports entertainment. You're the only one who has sports entertainment, okay? And so it's the only form that's out there, okay? Despite stepping down from those roles, McMahon remained in charge of the creative decisions for the on-screen product, okay? He's the booker, he has the pencil, okay? At least he did. So, what does this all mean at the end of the day? Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan. Okay, that one's another very important figure, and we'll talk about him, so just put a little pin in that name for right now. We'll operate as co-CEOs. That's not going to last very long, because you also take a look at another very important position that's being filled. The news also comes after the announcement that Paul Levesque, better known by his ring name, Triple H, was fully taking over the role of Executive Vice President of Talent Relations after stepping away from his role of executive roles because of a cardiac incident. Levesque and Stephanie McMahon were married in 2003. And yes, that means that Triple H ended up getting the position that he held in NXT during its most profitable, or at least its more successful. I don't know what the profits were on that one, but at least it was in the most talked about era of NXT. After the failed game show and prior to whatever the fuck NXT 2.0 is, which was taken over and rebranded from Triple H, because I've got some concerns about his booking strategy, but we'll see. So he's got the stick now going forward. So he's in charge of talent relations, okay, prior position that Jim Ross and the likes have held throughout the years. And now, yes, he is the official booker of all of the shows. That's a big fucking role, okay? And the fact that it had to be chopped up among 3 people, what Vince McMahon was doing, time will tell how this is ultimately going to go. So yeah, as the days have gone on, over the weekend, Wall Street Journal ran the front page news that Vince McMahon steps down. We have a new scalp on our wall. Yay, wonderful, terrific, fantastic. And last night, today's Tuesday. Yeah, no, last night, okay. Raw ran, and yeah, no, it was another banal show that nobody really gives a fuck about. And it's all things considered, you know, hey, the go-home show for the second biggest show of the year, you think that there should be some hubbub when it comes to this stuff, because also, when Vince McMahon walked out pushed out, forced out, whatever the fuck you want to call it at the end of the day, on Friday afternoon, also, another guy, fairly significant importance, somebody who filled in for a position that was also penciled in for Randy Orton for the SummerSlam main event, Brock Lesnar. There were reports going around that he walked out, if Vince McMahon is not here, I'm gone. That was the report, that he walked out prior to the show. But then he appeared at the end of the show, did his fucking gimmick, and away everybody went. Okay, wonderful, fantastic, terrific. He's going to end up fucking eating the pin on, when's the show? Sunday? Saturday? Over the weekend. He's going to end up eating the pin there, and then we probably won't see Brock Lesnar again, because he's just kind of fucking mercenary of the highest accord. He's made his millions of dollars. He continues to make his millions of dollars. He lives on a farm in Saskatchewan and couldn't give a fuck about anybody else except for fucking Sable and whoever his kids are. Lord help whoever decides to take out his daughter who looks exactly like him. Boy, his fucking genes are strong, unfortunately. But yeah, a lot of turmoil that was going around at the time, okay? But now that everything is starting to shake out a little bit, we're starting to get a little bit more insight into this. Vince McMahon's retirement from WWE was hastened by SEC investigation into sexual harassment settlements. So, okay, what we were talking about before in the first video, okay, I said, I don't really care if Vince was fucking around, okay? That is the least surprising thing, aside from the sun coming up in the morning. It's like you're traveling around the world, okay? And if you're smashing rats, I would be surprised if you weren't, frankly. The only thing that I would be hung up on is if you were using company funds in order to fulfill those non-disclosure agreements, okay? And it looks like that might be the case, but again, we don't have confirmation on that because the Wall Street Journal, well, they have all of their articles behind a paywall, but regardless, a lot of people are also commenting on this stuff by saying, well, Vince McMahon used WWE funds to pay them off because there's reports, $14.6 million of unreported funds, okay, stemming back from 2006 all the way up until 2014, something like that. We'll take a look at this, okay? But again, what were those funds earmarked for? Okay, it could be a whole bunch of things. It could be unaccounted for bonuses. I'm trying to be as charitable as possible, okay? Both sides of this equation here. Did he use them to pay off his whores on the side? Potentially, probably, more than likely, okay? But do we have confirmation on that? No. Okay, but if the SEC is going to be going in on that, okay, then we got some interesting fallout when it comes to this. At the end of the day, Vince McMahon reportedly handed in the keys of the WWE kingdom earlier than he planned as the SEC started sniffing around. McMahon, he said he's 77, so he's 76. I don't think, he's not the type of guy, okay? He was the motherfucker who also took the numbering nomenclature off of the WrestleMania sign. It's like, yeah, no, that's not successful for other large events, like, say, the Super Bowl. It's not like they number their shit all the time. Again, this motherfucker hasn't been in touch with reality for a hot second. So, of the wrestling company stepped down from the board in mid-June, blah, 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 blasey. Yeah, and then a month later, you just fucking retired. I'm taking my ball and going home. I'm taking my giant dinosaur head and going home. But the departure was also outrunning an investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Again, don't they have better things to do? Like, did they ever get to the bottom of that Robin Hood? Oh, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and pause everything because poor people are actually making money off of all these meme stocks. Yeah, no. Anyways, the Journal reported Monday saying his retirement was hastened by the accountants, digging through the books. Multiple spokespeople for WWE did not immediately comment because we're conducting an investigation or something like that. Okay, obviously. Between 2006 and 2002, that don't make no sense. The Daily News and AOL, you should probably work on that shit. I seen 2012, okay, before in other printings of this, so fill that in as you will. The 2002 shit, that don't make no sense. 2006 and 2012. McMahon paid out $14.6 million in unrecorded expenses, WWE admitted in a filing Monday. That's official stuff, okay? There's $4.6 million of unrecorded expenses. That could be, I don't know, over tipping the limo driver. It could have been for dinners, wining and dining new talent on the way in. Okay, Vladimir Kozlov isn't cheap after all. He had to fly up Nathan Jones from Boggo Road, right? So whatever. Who really knows? Those payments were or will be paid by McMahon, the company said. So he's going to refund them, okay? So, okay. Were those accounting errors over the course of 6 years? Perhaps, okay. Would they have ever been found out without this investigation? More than likely. Was it an open secret? Time will tell. It is unclear if all the money was used for the $12 million in settlements. Wait a minute. $12 million in settlements. $14.6 million in unrecorded expenses. Okay, did he use the additional $2.6 million to wine and dine these hoes? Like, what are we doing here? Okay. In settlements, McMahon allegedly made to 4 women to suppress allegations of sexual misconduct, infidelity, previously reported by the Wall Street Journal. Among the settlements were a $7.5 million to a former wrestler who accused McMahon of coercing her into giving him oral sex. Imagine that exchange was probably very, very interesting. Okay. Then demoting her when she refused to have sex with him again. I gotta press X to doubt on that, okay? And again, it was probably one of those things depending on the year, alright? And because Wall Street Journal is digging into this stuff now, I have no idea why they're doing this, okay? But again, all of that early part of the year shuffling when it came to replacing people in high-ranking positions, all the budget cuts that were going on that were precipitated and carried out by Nick Khan. It's very, very interesting. Very, very timely when you take a look at everything in totality. So why is this coming out in the summer? Well, the Fed, based on their scheduling, is kind of heading into a lull period. Sure, they got a big stadium show in England or something. That'll pop a rating for a hot second. It'll be a big premier or premium live event, whatever they want to call their not pay-per-view pay-per-views nowadays. Okay. Oh, that'll be cool. Roman Reigns will squash Drew McIntyre. Congratulations. Wonderful. Fantastic. Who fucking gives a shit? Wait for Cody Rhodes to come back. Ooh, that'll be fun. But again, these are rumors of a rumor that was settled at least a decade ago, if not longer. All right, so another woman claimed that McMahon sent her unsolicited nude photos. There would be pictures of the grapefruits online if this happened, okay? Because if this happened to one of the many female models that he's employed over time, it happened to a whole bunch of them, okay? And the overwhelming majority of people who have ever worked for Vince McMahon have nothing but reverence for the man, okay? Was that in order to keep a job long term? Perhaps. But everybody who communicates with him face to face says that he's always open to suggestions. Does he ever take them? Nah, not really, okay? But he's always cordial in person, okay? He's not the character he plays on television, okay? He's the kindly old man who's just trying to put the best product that he believes is the best product forward. Which kind of leads into the fact of why everything was kind of sucking so bad. Because I dipped my toe back in, when was that, 2016 Royal Rumble when AJ Styles came back? Yeah, for a minute, okay? Checked in with it for a couple of years and then it just... yeah, I really don't give a fuck about this shit anymore, okay? And now you're starting to get reports, okay? Vince McMahon heavily edited by WWE creative team staff due to insensitive language and incorrect info. Want to know why the product is sucked? Well, Vince McMahon was losing his marbles, okay? Because we're going to get into this. Did a little bit of pre-screening when it comes to this, okay? He was not getting names of people right. Well, mostly because he continues to change them all the time, okay? So maybe he just can't keep straight his own booking decisions, which, you know what? Hey, when you constantly, continuously rip up all of the scripts, okay? Because those are other reports that always come out. Vince McMahon came in first thing Friday morning and ripped up the script for SmackDown. Or a couple hours before Raw taping, guess what? All of the script is getting thrown out and he's bringing in his own ideas. So, okay, what's true? He's heavily edited, or he's ripping up the scripts right before showtime, okay? Or even just continuing to write them throughout the entirety of the show. What is it? What is it? More details are emerging when McMahon has stepped down from the WWE. According to a source report from Fightful, one aspect of the creative environment Vince McMahon inspired in recent years in WWE was one where meeting minutes had to be heavily edited due to insensitive language and incorrect information. And that, half of it, is why I have such a big problem, and why it's just so easy to pinpoint why nobody gives a fuck about this stuff. If you're concerned in a sport that is fake, okay, it tries to tell the story of who's their women's champion right now, that they're on the same level as like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. You're trying to tell me that the tiny bitch is as fucking relevant to the product as a former UFC heavyweight champion, one of the most recognizable athletes on earth? Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, so insensitive language. Your most profitable periods was when The Rock was fucking yelling at old ladies and checking your new co-CEO into the SmackDown hotel, okay? Or Stone Cold Steve Austin fucking emptying a 6-pack of beer on the canvas, okay? And throwing up the middle fingers on every turnbuckle post. Like, insensitive language is what made you relevant in the zeitgeist of society for a very brief but very monumental time. Okay, the late 90s, early 2000s were hot for a reason, and it was because of that insensitive language. And you take a look at all of the ratings over the years, and what do you get? The pussification of the Fed. Okay, and if Vince McMahon was getting censored over that, that's a problem. But if he was just blatantly getting names wrong, he shouldn't be in that position. All right. Citing sources within the creative process, the report said the assistants on the creative writing team needed to filter the now former WWE CEO, chairman, and creative team lead for a long time. What constitutes a long time? And that the meeting notes were heavily edited due to the aforementioned insensitive language, to calling people the wrong names, to using the terms that weren't socially acceptable. And shit like this is why young entrepreneurs that are out there, you need to gatekeep your business and your institutions. Don't let the people that unironically say insensitive ever enter your front doors. In another part of the report, a former production employee confirmed the long-running stories about McMahon blowing up at the announcers on headsets due to minor issues. Yeah, he's a complete psychopath when it comes to verbiage. Everybody knows that. That's why you can't say belt, and you can't say strap. Everything's a championship, okay? Nobody gets a rematch. They get a championship opportunity. All right, there's no such thing as a tournament. It's a round robin endeavor that, again, it's just all fucking stupid. And then yeah, it's like a pay-per-view. There have been boxing pay-per-views, wrestling pay-per-views, kickboxing pay-per-views, mixed martial arts pay-per-views for fucking ever. It's the nomenclature that's out there. It's the big one-off show, okay? But no. For Vince McMahon, who has had these pay-per-views on the network, on his streaming service, okay, just decide seemingly out of the blue that all of a sudden they're going to be premium live events. What the fuck? Okay. Former WWE announcer and personality. Whoa! Look at that! Renee Paquette said as much during an appearance on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour last October. She recalled a story about how McMahon said she ruined an angle with heavyweight boxing champion Tyson Fury because she referred to him by his nickname and not lineal champion. Yeah, strange outbursts when it comes to just minute details. That's normally a sign of dementia. See current president of the United States for proof of concept on that one. But as for the guy, okay, as for the guy who's in all practicality running the show at this point, Triple H, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, including this, I don't know, fucking basement dweller who's thinking that, oh, yeah, because I really like the old NXT. Now the Triple H is in charge. Now the product's really gonna take off. Not really, okay? I was watching the product during that time. There was a lot of really good stuff that was going on. It was a very engaging show. But let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest. It was just really a highly produced Ring of Honor event, okay? Well, basically gutted all of the indies and put all of Triple H's favorite little play toys, okay? Got Shinsuke Nakamura to come over from New Japan Pro Wrestling, okay? Worked him into a couple of angles. And then that was when the chinks in the armor started to appear. Pun not intended. That's a different slur for Japanese. Anyways, but still, you take a look, okay? They were just booking everything like a big super show. The week-to-week programming, was anybody really paying attention? It was just a bunch of developmental shows, okay? It was a bunch of just meaningless matches that were good, and they were very enjoyable to watch. But building up to the shows, sure, the shows were great, but it was always just a one-off event, okay? Or even if anything continued on in perpetuity, yeah, no, it ramped up properly, and Triple H definitely 100% has a mind for the business, and everybody who worked under him during the NXT run really liked his managerial style, okay? Okay, and a lot of people benefited from his run in NXT, but it didn't translate to a wider audience, okay? And that's what's sorely lacking the Fed right now, because you take a look, it's like, oh, the numbers are up from last week, and the SmackDown on Fox gets 2.6 million viewers over a 2-hour period. Congratulations. Or Raw, which used to get upwards of 9 million people tuning in at any given time, okay? Now is lucky to get 2 million over the course of 3 hours. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So all you have is basically your hardcore audience. The people who have been watching Raw since it's been in the New York ballrooms, okay? Or been watching SmackDown and can remember the old Ovaltron, okay? The people who just watch this shit out of habit. And it's like the people who watch soap operas, okay? They don't even know why they're watching it. They just know when they watch it and when it's done, okay? They just go in out of sheer fucking habit. So if you change it up too much, you might piss them off, okay? And even if, okay, Triple H starts to run everything like he did with NXT, we'd have to see how he can work with somebody over a long enough period of time, because who was in NXT like the longest, okay, who had an extended run at the top where it wasn't just a mid-carder? Like Finn Balor was down there for a few years, okay, yeah, he built and he built and he built and he had something good with Samoa Joe, but then yeah, he got jettisoned off to the main roster. Okay, had a one-off match with Nakamura, I think, and then just went straight to the main event scene on Raw, and then everything just kind of deteriorated from there. And now he's, I don't know, walking around with Punishment Martinez, and they're doing some fucking goofy shit with fucking shadows and mood lighting. Whatever. But I like Triple H's style of professional wrestling. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I like the realistic, more fake shoot fighting style, okay? But it's getting long in the tooth, okay? That type, okay, of wrestling. That's a trend that's, reaching into its second decade at this point when it was popular. As you go back to 2006, cast your mind back to then, okay? ECW was getting resurrected after it was purchased up by the Fed in 2001, okay? Heyman was given the reins. It's like, what do you want to do? Okay, we want to revive ECW. We want you at the head of it. What do you want to do with it? He was pitching those ideas, okay? Because he's on the forefront. He's a guy who actually knows what would captivate an audience, okay? As you take a look at ECW, and of course the Fed has a way of working it, and it's like, it was just blood and guts wrestling. Just all trash can bins and Sandman hitting people with the kendo stick. And it was like, no, not quite. There was a bunch of good wrestling underneath, and there was a bunch of gritty language, because that was the style of the time, okay? Still like it, still, hey, I'd watch a clip from a time or two, but that was appropriate for the mid to late 90s. That's what was popular, so that's what Heyman wanted to do. So, if Triple H, who hasn't really shown any kind of dexterity when it comes to his booking, because basically the main eventers were all running that same path, okay? Take a look at Bobby Roode's championship run. Do you even remember that? Even Nakamura's, okay? He had a couple of different challengers, dropped the belt, went up to the main roster. We don't know what he can do as somebody who's going to be on the roster for years and years and years on end, okay? Could it be totally successful? Completely. But we just seen the same type of shit over and over and over again, all right? Like, you had probably the best story, the crown jewel in his crown. He's the king of kings, after all. Ugh. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa feud, okay? That started to get, it was derailed a bunch of different times, okay? But it started to get boring. It really started to get boring, okay? Or even the Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole stuff. Yeah, it was getting a little bit ridiculous at the end, because you keep having to raise the stakes, okay? And then, well, Tommaso Ciampa just kind of fell off after their big cinematic match at the end, okay? And just went kind of spiraled off into irrelevancy, and then was a last-minute replacement after Samoa Joe took the NXT title off of Killer Cross, and Samoa Joe got hurt, and then Ciampa took it, and in order to be like a passing of the torch to Steiner's kid, forget his name. And Gargano had that goofy little faction there that did dick all. I still think Triple H is probably the best guy for the job, but he hasn't really shown a proven track record to book this long term. And you take a look at the rest of the people that are up top. Nick Khan, the penny pitcher, okay, that's why. Once Vince McMahon dies, is a sellout to the NBC possible? Well, they're already on the Peacock network, okay, and they've had a very close relationship dating all the way back to the initial run of primetime wrestling, okay, working with USA, NBC, okay, like, that's an easy transition. And Stephanie McMahon, you take a look at some of her quotes out there, philanthropy will be the new form of business marketing into the future. She's basically just trying to virtue signal and buy goodwill, and that's the product right now, okay? Look at how progressive we are. We've got a black women's champion. Okay, terrific, wonderful, fantastic. What does she do for you? Oh, she main events a failing show. Okay, cool, wonderful. Drag Ronda Rousey out. Everybody will pop for that, right? Oh, wait, they don't? Oh, okay, cool. Well, don't make her talk and don't give her a manager. All right. If you want to do all these little spot fixes, that's great, but we'll have to see long term when it comes to this stuff, because Again, this doesn't this doesn't excite me. It doesn't bring me back to the product. They're just going to have to show that they're capable of doing this stuff. I'd imagine probably through the end of the year, it's going to be much of a holding pattern. Okay, is Vince McMahon still going to be behind the scenes, kind of slightly guiding everything as he goes in anticipation of all of this stuff blowing over so that he could just come back triumphantly? I would imagine a lot of that is at play right now, but we won't really be able to see what this regime can do on a grand scheme of things because all of the major booking decisions are still going to have the say of Vince McMahon because, let's be honest, until he's dead, he's still going to be around. Not going to see how this is going to play out until at least 2023. So yeah, well, this Spurg thinks that it's going to be a great change, and all of wrestling Twitter is alight with this. Oh my God, you take a look at all of the free agents that are out there that the Fed aren't going to fucking sign, okay, because they're too busy signing Logan Paul and the other flavor of the week celebrities on there because they're just pandering to a social media base at this point, and they know what they're going to be getting on TV, okay, but they're the second or third biggest YouTube channel. Okay, and they got massive reach on Instagram, Twitter. They always get the fake phony trending tabs as well. It's a product that's in trouble. And this is an interesting turn, but it could also be like late 1999 into 2000s WCW by bringing in Vince Russo and try to really energize the place. Yeah, because I remember there was also a lot of hope and excitement surrounding those announcements, but we all know how that one ended. So yeah, time will tell. I'm not excited. I don't really think it's bad. Don't really think it's great. I just think it's there. But that's my opinion of the Fed on most days anyway. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.